Welcome back to another deal review. Today we're going to be talking about how we made $15,000 wholesaling a piece of real estate in Michigan. Now, this comes from the 2023 50 Deals in 50 States in 50 Days Challenge. And I've talked about this lead several times where I felt like out of the 125 contracts that I got in those 50 days, this was the least likely that I personally felt when I locked it up to make it to the finish line. But funny enough, it ended up being one of the easiest deals for us to dispo. Now, this day was chaotic, okay? This was day 20 of the 50-day challenge, and I was having significant internet issues. During the entire 8 hours, my internet was kicking on and off. I was having Wi-Fi issues. I wasn't hardwired in yet at my station here. And I was having issues, and it was bothering me throughout the day because the stream itself, not real estate related, but the actual going live on YouTube, I was having issues. And you'll actually notice the quality of the video is extremely poor. What ended up happening is my normal setup would not function whatsoever, but Cassie's laptop would connect. So I wasn't even using a camera during this moment. We had actually just brought in Cassie's laptop and we stacked up like boxes on my desk for the laptop to sit on so we could even continue streaming the live. And so what you're seeing is the camera that's being used is Cassie's laptop webcam, and I'm frustrated. I mean, I know the stream looks like crap. It's super fuzzy. The quality's low, and I was irritated, right? I want to get to work. I want to stay focused on what I'm doing. We were gaining a significant amount of traction inside the challenge at this point. And so I get this seller on the phone. The lead comes from Lead Zolo, and it was a very unique property to underwrite because the house itself sat on lot, but then it basically had a vacant lot next to it that also came with it. And that's where our extra value came from on this deal. And so you'll hear me talk about, I believe the ARV is like 130 or 135, but in all reality, that was not including the vacant lot that gave us a significant amount of extra value and what made it to be a good, solid deal. Now, the seller's original asking price was $100,000. And as you're going to see here on the live seller call, I end up locking it up for $75,000. One of the things I want you to pay attention to is several different things. The education of the seller. This was the beginning process of me really developing that inside of the closer's formula. Now we refer to it as the 4 seller buckets, and this would be a highly motivated seller with an incorrect price, right? The seller says $100,000, I would accept $90,000, and I end up getting them to agree to $75,000. But I do that by explaining the after repair value, the amount of repairs that I need to put into it. And again, it's not perfect because that wasn't necessarily what it wasn't part of the process yet. This is 2023, so this is 2 years ago. I knew what I was trying to accomplish, but it wasn't as polished as it would be today. Another thing I want you to pay attention to, and also in your calls, notice how I say, gotcha. I say that on repeat during the seller call. Pay attention to your little ticks that you might have and the go-to phrases, because I was busy comping and underwriting it. Again, I'm going back to, I was struggling understanding the value on this deal. And because of that, I was going back to just a nervous habit of saying, gotcha. All right. Relax. Be comfortable in the conversation. This entire conversation is only like 8 or 9 minutes. It's not a long conversation. I should have slowed down, relaxed, been in the pocket. And this is where I believe what was taking place with the internet and also the difficulties that I was having with comping and underwriting this deal kind of impacted my ability to close it on this initial dial. I think if I just really slowed down the process, done a little bit more in depth of educating the numbers, you kind of see it's almost like an afterthought inside of the seller call. I think if I had slowed down and done a better job there, I probably could have gotten the deal closed on the first dial. Now I make the offer and the seller says, let me, talk to my mother-in-law and I'll get back to you and all that. We don't have the actual close itself. What happened was I made the offer on this dial and the seller actually called back and Garrett answered the phone. And the seller basically was like, I'm ready to sign the contract, send it over. So Garrett didn't even transfer it over to me because it was just such a lay down. All right, they're ready to accept the $75,000. So let's get you guys the live seller call, and then I'll break down what happened on the dispositions and the rest of the transaction. Hello, is Mike there?
Speaking.
Hey, Mike, this is RJ Bates calling about your property there on Annapolis Street. How are you doing?
Okay.
You entered this on my website saying that you might be interested in selling. Is that correct?
Yes.
Excellent. How much are you looking to get for it?
Well, ideally 100,000, but I take 90.
Okay. And tell me a little bit about what's going on with the property.
I bought another property up north, and then I'm just getting rid of that one to move to the one up north.
Gotcha. So are you currently occupying it or is it vacant?
No, I'm currently occupying it for another about 2 weeks.
Okay. What's the condition like?
It needs some work done to it. I know it needs electrical work done to it.
Okay. Like new panel or just wiring or what?
Probably a little bit of both.
Okay.
It definitely needs a new panel.
Okay. What else?
It's sitting on a double lot. The outside of the house is pretty much pristine. I don't know what year it was built. I mean, it's an older home. It's a 2-story. They say 3 bedrooms, but it's really 2. 2 bedroom, 1 bath. The last real estate company that my wife bought it from, they listed it as a 3, but it's like a walk-through bedroom on the 2nd floor.
Okay.
You got to walk through one bedroom to get to the other one. And my daughter used to use it as like a sitting room or, her TV room or whatever.
Right.
But
That's a big lot next to it.
yeah, it's a whole double lot.
Is it all one address or is it two parcels?
I believe it's on one address.
All right.
And at one time, it had a chain link fence around it, but I took it down because it was ugly.
I gotcha. Is it 911 square feet?
I believe so. It is a small house.
Gotcha.
What a lot of people are doing in that neighborhood are tearing houses down and building houses as big as a lot.
Gotcha.
It's been a trend for a while.
Okay. Do you think it's livable condition, right? The only thing that it would need potentially would just be that electrical panel replacement?
I believe so.
No plumbing issues or anything like that?
No what?
Plumbing or anything like that?
No, I mean, it's everything. I mean, the kitchen and the bathroom are both outdated. I mean, but if clean it up and, paint it, it's livable.
Gotcha.
It's not, it's not disgusting, there's no big holes in the walls or anything like that.
Right. All right, give me just a few seconds here.
Okay. It is in my mother-in-law's name. She took out the loan for my wife when they bought it like 20 some odd years ago.
Okay. And so she technically would be the person that would be selling it, right?
Correct.
But she's going to do whatever you want to do?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
As long as the loan's paid off and she's happy and gets it out of her name, she's happy. Matter of fact, she's moving up north with me too. So.
Okay. Well, that's good. Strangely enough, about 3 weeks ago, I talked to someone with the exact same situation. And they told me, yeah, mother-in-law is going to do whatever we want to do. So I came up with a plan. We were going to buy their house. We were going to represent them as the realtor to find their new house. I got them a lender. And then when I sent over the contract, mother-in-law didn't want to sell the house.
Oh, no, she got no.
Yeah. But I was just like blown away because he was just like you, like, no, mother-in-law's in. She's whatever we want to do. And so it was like, oh man, I thought you told me she was fine,
Yeah, no, I got a 2,000 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, right on Lake Huron, with 100 foot of private beach.
Oh yeah. Oh, dude, that's awesome. You're set up, huh?
Oh yeah.
All right, let me see here. So you said the kitchen and the bathroom is outdated and it needs the electrical. What about like flooring and paint? Does it need any of that?
It needs paint. It has hardwood floors. I mean, if you wanted to redo them, I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea.
Right.
I think it's like a 1940s or 1950s house.
It says 1939 is what it says here. Yeah. I mean, it's exactly what I'm looking for as far as a property goes. I think the problem is to give you your price. What I'm really missing is about 200 square feet. I'm more coming in at like 75,000 than I am 90. But that's net to you. We're covering the closing costs. There's no realtor commissions or anything like that. So there is a little bit of value there in comparison to like if you were on the market, and you had to pay a realtor commission and stuff like that. So, but it's not completely all the way up to $15,000 in value. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Okay, well, I got your number. I mean, let me see what number I got.
817-710-8698. Yeah, that's my office. Yeah, that's my office. One of the things I'm not seeing here is I'm not seeing very many houses that have, well, there's one that's pending on Annapolis with a similar size lot, and it sold at the exact same price first. Pretty much what I'm seeing, like if you have a house that's fixed up, it's selling for $150 a square foot. So that tells me if I come in and I fix the house up, I can sell it for like $136,000. And so from there, it's like, I'm not trying to poke you in the eyeballs, but that's how I'm coming up with, 75,000, because I'm pretty much saying, hey, I'm going to put like 25, 30 in, and then I got to pay commissions and closing costs on the backside. And then, I make on that, I probably make somewhere around 20,000 for fixing it up. So
yeah, that's fair.
Right.
You got work to do to it. And, let me give her a call, and I'll give you a holler back in the morning.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I'll be. This is my office, so whenever you call in, someone will answer. Okay.
Okay. What time do you get in? Because I'm, of course, Michigan time. I know you're Central time.
Yeah. So.
Truck driver, so.
Yeah, so we get here at 9 o'clock in the morning, so I guess that's 10 o'clock your time.
Not a problem. I'll give you Howard back.
All right, thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
And what's your name?
RJ Bates.
RJ. Okay. Thank you much, sir.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
All right, so that was the live seller call, and as you can see, I was a little bit rushed and a little bit frazzled during the conversation, but all in all, it did get us the signed contract. So on June 6th, the seller signed the contract for $75,000. There was no negotiation or anything like that. They were really just concerned about the timeline. They wanted to make sure that this wasn't going to be an extended period of time, which made me even more nervous because remember, I'm thinking mentally like this is one of my worst deals that I've locked up. And really even questioning why did I lock it up? But when we put this deal into Investor Lift and Garrett blasted it out for dispositions, this deal flew off the shelves. It actually put us in a very awkward position. So we sent it out to our buyers and immediately received multiple full price offers. Now, we do not believe in bidding wars. We believe in first come, first serve. So we actually went to the buyer who was the first person to put in the full price offer. And we said, hey, man, we're getting a lot of traction on this. We just want to make sure that your offer is not contingent upon a walkthrough and you're ready to put down $5,000 non-refundable earnest money. And we did get that confirmed and we got the signed assignment. And so we ended up making $15,000, which is what our asking price was. Now, one of the things that always kind of comes to mind when you do dispo and it flies off the shelves is, did we price this incorrectly? Now, we want to make it a win for our end buyers, but you also don't want to leave too much on the table there that, hey, could we have made $20,000? Looking back at it, we probably could have made a little bit extra, but with the uncertainty that I had based around the numbers on this deal, I don't regret what we did whatsoever. And this was a win for our end buyer. It was a win for the seller. And of course, it was a win for us, basically hitting the national average assignment fee of $15,000. This deal ended up closing 17 days later, which made the sellers extremely happy. And obviously it made us happy because we made our $15,000. So all in all, for how I felt upon the initial conversation and analysis of the deal, I was blown away. And it's still probably one of my favorite deals that we did out of the 125 signed contracts during the 50-50-50. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. And like I said in yesterday's episode about wholesaling in Michigan, this could be a great market for you. This was in Dearborn Heights, which is a suburb of Detroit. There are deals to be made there. Dispositions can be awesome. Make sure you show me some love on this video, and we'll see you on the next one.